I'm one of those people where you might see me sitting down really quietly, and you might be thinking, she's just sitting there doing nothing, daydreaming. You're probably right. I daydream a lot, and I daydream about things that I can do to support the children that are in my care, the children that I teach. I'm always thinking, what can I do to improve the service that I'm offering parents? What can I do to support the children more? Again, I'm one of those people. A lot is always going on in my mind. So you might just see me sitting down, with my legs folded underneath me, sitting in the settee. But trust me, a lot is going on in my mind. So this was what happened this evening. I was sitting down quietly, having my dinner, and suddenly I got the idea to do a comparison video between children attending lessons by going to a tuition center and then children who join an online tuition service. So I decided, why not get onto the computer and do a live stream? And so here we are. I decided I'm going to do a short live stream where I get to talk to parents, chat with parents about what I believe are some of the advantages of children going to a tuition center for their lessons, and also the advantages that come with children who sign up for an online tuition service. So, again, thank you for joining the live this evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gifty. I'm a teacher, I'm a tutor. I taught in a local comprehensive school in London for many, many years, for well over 10 years. And then I've been a tutor for over 15 years, maybe 16, maybe 17. I've lost count. As long as I can remember, I've been teaching. I've always worked with children. Well, not always. I would say for the past 22, 23 years, I've been working with children. So again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gifty. I'm a teacher, I'm a tutor, and I've got years of experience working with our young learners. So again, today, what I want to talk about is I want us to look at some of the advantages we have when it comes to children attending. Well, not some of the advantages we have, but some of the advantages that children have by going to a tuition center for their lessons. So what are some of those advantages? And the reason why I believe this thought came to my mind, I know a lot of parents have this mindset about, oh, children will learn better by going to the tuition center because the tutor is physically there and the tutor can actually, check their work. The tutor will be there to offer the support if the children are stuck with what they're doing. I totally get this. I totally understand this. And I used to run a tuition center in Tharak, and I did this for 6, 7 years, I think, 6, 7 years. I used to run a tuition center in Tharak. It was only a few weeks ago that I decided to close it down and move my tuition service fully online. So what I'm doing right now is I'm running the service. I'm still running the tuition service, but the service is now fully online. So I feel I'm in the right position to say a few things about, running a physical tuition center and also running the service as a fully online tuition service. So, what are some of the advantages when it comes to children attending the lessons by coming to a physical tuition center? What I've done is to list a few things so I don't miss anything. So, the first and the obvious advantage is the tutor is there, so the tutor can work face to face with the children, which is obviously an advantage. And because the tutor is physically present, the tutor is physically there, it means monitoring the work that the children are doing will obviously be more effective because the tutor actually gets to see the work that the children are doing. The tutor actually gets to see what the children are writing in the books. So this is an obvious advantage. The tutor is physically there and the tutor can monitor the work that the children are doing. So now let's compare this with an online tuition service. So when it comes to running a tuition service online, obviously the tutor is not physically there. But now we have access to video platforms. So even though the teacher is or the tutor is not physically there, the children can actually see the tutor, on video. The tutor can see the children on video. The tutor can interact effectively with the children because the tutor can talk to the children. The tutor can ask questions, and the same way the children can talk to the tutor, they can ask questions. If they have any confusion, they can easily ask questions because we have video, there's going to be video interaction between the tutor and the students. So even though the tutor is not physically present, there will still be that interaction between the children and the tutor. And also, when it comes to monitoring of the work that the children do, what I would typically do when I'm running the online interactive sessions, what I would do is I would ask the children to hold up their books, sort of like this. I would ask the children to hold up their books like that and ask them to hold it up in such a way that I can see the work they're doing. Remember, even though the lesson is being done online, the tutor is actually writing, using a tablet to write so that the children can see what the tutor is doing on screen. So if the tutor, for instance, has gone through questions 1, 2, and 3, then when I asked to see the work that the children have done, then I expect the children to have completed all 3 questions. So when it comes to effective monitoring of the work that the children are doing, even though when it comes to the online sessions, even though the tutor is not physically present, I believe the work that the children are doing can still be monitored effectively. All it takes is asking the children to hold up their books. You simply ask them to hold up their books, and then you can see exactly what they're doing. And then we also come to the third point I have, which is a benefit to parents, because when parents bring their children to the tuition center, they are sort of relieved of the burden of monitoring what the children are doing. So it's almost like, I've got the children here, the children are now with you, so you sort them out, which I can understand, because at the end of the day, parents are paying for the service. So they expect the tutor to teach the children and look after them. All fair and good. No worries about that. So this is something that I feel a lot of parents struggle with, because when you do now come into talk about the online, the children taking the lesson online, the children are not physically with the tutor, which means even though the children are on video with the tutor, when it comes to monitoring and checking that the children are actually focused on the task, the burden now lies with the parents. Now, I'm not saying that the parents should sit with the children, but what the parents can do, I believe, what the parents can do is, put in an appearance, just pop your head around, look, just have a quick check to make sure the children are focused and doing the work. And this should take no more than a few seconds. You just popping your head around, quickly checking that your child is writing down everything in the book. So this is all that parents will have to do to make sure that the child is getting the maximum out of the online session. So again, I know this is something that worries parents a bit, because when they bring the children to the tuition center, the mindset or the attitude or maybe the mentality is, this little one is now your problem, sort them out. So I believe this is one of the main reasons why a lot of parents still prefer taking their children to a physical tuition center. But I believe the same level of work can be achieved, can be achieved, when the children are working from home using an online tuition service. So now we're going to go to another point I've got here. So one other advantage that children have when they work when they come to the tuition center is there is that social interaction with other children. There is that physical and social interaction with other children. And I can see a lot of benefits in this. The first thing that comes to mind is that healthy competition between the children. You have that competition, the children are competing with each other to see who is going to get the most marks. For example, when they're completing a task or doing a test, for example. Now, let's bring it round to an online lesson. I believe the children can achieve the same thing. We can have the same competitiveness. For example, I had a lesson, an online session with my year 5, 11 plus group yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. We had a lesson yesterday. And I told the children last week that I was going to give them a test. They probably didn't believe me. So as soon as the lesson started yesterday, as soon as the lesson started, I said, get your pens, get your pencils ready. We have a test. And then I quickly shared the test paper with them. Now I have all kinds of resources, ways that I share the resources with the children. So I had a link to the test paper and I simply put the link in the chat. The children clicked on it and they had the test questions. So I gave them about 20 minutes to complete the test. And then after the assessment was done, I put another link into the chats, and this time we had the answers to the questions. So in terms of the online lessons, obviously there's going to be self-assessment. The children can only do self-assessment, which is fine. I really believe in self-assessment because this is a way children can actually assess themselves and see for themselves the questions that they're getting wrong and actually begin to work on how they can improve, how they can gain a better understanding in the questions that they're getting wrong. So I believe when it comes to that level of competition, whatever that can be achieved in a physical tuition center, the same thing could be achieved when the lesson is happening online, which was what happened yesterday. Because as soon as the children finished marking the work, I asked everybody to put their marks in the chats. Now, obviously, I do have a little worry sometimes about the honesty of some of the children. But what I do is I believe children can be really honest. And what I do is I appeal to the better nature of the child. I tell them to be really honest with me. I'm not saying all of them are going to be honest all the time. After all, they're children, they're human. But I always appeal to that better nature. I tell them to be really honest with me and to let me know where they're having any difficulties so I can support them. And this works. This is something I used to do when the children used to come to the tuition center as well. I always appeal to that better nature, and it works in a lot of cases. It works with children, and I really believe children are even more honest than adults. I truly believe this. Children can be really, really honest, even to the extent where sometimes the honesty can hurt because children say it as it is. No mincing of words. That's children for you. That's how they are. Anyway, so the next thing I have here that I want to quickly talk about is when the children come to the tuition center, I believe the children feel more confident because they know the tutor is available, the tutor is right there to give them the support whenever they need it. So I believe seeing that the tutor is there gives the children that level of confidence because they know they can get the support as and when they need it. So now let's bring this round to having the lesson online. I believe the children can still get the same level of support. And once the children get used to the idea of having the lesson online, because remember, the children can see the tutor online, they can see the tutor on video, the tutor can see the children on video, they can communicate with each other because the online sessions are interactive. So both parties can communicate easily with each other. So I believe once the children get used to the online tuition or the online lesson, they will gain the same level of confidence and be able to ask the tutor for support whenever they feel stuck. So what I've done now is to do again a little comparison looking at children coming to the tuition center for a lesson and children attending an online lesson. So, in my personal opinion, there is very, very little difference when it comes to the main issue why or the main reason why the children are attending the lessons in the first place. There's very little difference. There's going to be very, very, very little difference in the children's learning because I believe using both systems, whether the children come to a physical tuition center or the children, take an online lesson, I believe using both systems, the children can learn. As long as they're focused, they remain on task, and they're doing the work they're supposed to do, then whichever way the lesson happens, the children will achieve the aim or the objective of the lesson, which means they will learn. So, again, what I want to say here is I want parents to sort of see the advantages of an online tuition, an online lesson. Parents should not always have that belief that the best form of tuition is for the children to come to the tuition center. It is not always the best because remember, when you run a group session at a tuition center, you're going to have a level of disruption. The children are either chatting amongst themselves, and a good part of the time is spent trying to calm the children down, not to talk about the constant request for going to the back room, which disrupts the lesson to a certain extent. So when the lesson is being held online, then this issue of, you know, disruption and, little chatting going on in the lesson, that issue is totally removed because the children are not sitting next to each other. They cannot chat. What I typically do when it comes to the chat system, when I give them a task, then I block the chats, which means they cannot chat with each other. Because trust me, these children are born into an age of technology and they understand these things better than we do, we the adults do. Trust me, they do. So, again, these are a few ideas I have when it comes to comparing the two systems, having a lesson at a tuition center or having an online lesson. Again, one big advantage that I believe the online sessions have over the physical tuition center is the affordability. When you take your child to a tuition center, you have to know that you're paying part of the commercial rent that the proprietor of the service has to pay. So a portion of that rent will be added to your monthly remittance. But when a child takes the lesson online, then what you're really paying for, all you're paying for is the tutor's time and the service that the tutor is giving to your child. So at least you don't have to pay that portion of the rent that the tutor has to pay. So what am I saying here? When it comes to the remittance, going for or signing up for an online tuition for your child is going to work out a whole lot more cheaper for you compared to taking the children to a physical tuition center. So now I've been talking for well over 25 minutes and I don't really want to take more of your time. My intention was for this to go for not more than 15 minutes, but I can see looking at the clock that I've been talking for about 28 minutes. So I'm actually going to hang around here for a few more minutes, for about a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to drop those in the chats and I'll do my very best to answer those questions, look at those, read those chats and comments and get back to you if necessary with any answers that you might be expecting from me. So again, I just want to thank you for joining the live this evening, for making the time to join. I know this is not always easy because, as we all know, we're all busy. We've got a million things to do, particularly if you have young children, you have a million things to do. So again, thank you very much for making the time to join this live. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. So we're going to leave it here and I promise I will take a look at those questions and those comments in the chats. And again, if necessary, I will get back to you. So again, thank you very much. So we're going to leave it here. Have a good night, everybody. And I'll see you again in the next one.